Hello viewers, welcome to India Today. This is Maruti Acharya.
And I am Sanjay Ponappa.
Ellarigu namaskara, and we just completed watching a Kannada film Vidyapati. Before getting into the details, Sanjay, your one-liner.
If you remember Dragon, the Tamil film that recently released, I think the major contribution towards its success was the emotion that it got, right? If anything works in this film, it is the emotion that they are trying to tap into, while also using comedy as a salt and sprinkling it across the script, mostly the first half.
My experience watching Vidyapati is I had a very nice smile on my face while watching the movie, but because it is a comedy movie, do you think that is enough? I don't think so. Let's get into the details.
The film has been directed by Esham and Haseen. They are the directors of the film Ikkat. If you've watched it, the film also starred Nagabhushana, who's playing the titular character in this film, along with Malaika Vasupal and Garuda Ram. The film also has an extended cameo of Daali Dhananjaya. He's also the producer of the film.
So, what works in the movie? Number one quality, emotion. In one of the interviews, legendary director S.S. Rajamouli said why his movies usually have a happy ending, where he said that movies are all about people should detach from their normal life, come, sit, relate, have fun, and get entertained. So, especially when you have a character or a story, anything, any emotion where you relate to the character and you want them to see it at different degrees. Now you see commercial cinema where the heroes do over the top things that we can't even think of in life, but we relate to them and we want to do them with a motive. So when they achieve something like that, it really works and we get that high of entertainment. So Vidyapati also has a similar subject and emotion where somebody who's the majority of the population, 90%, who can't fight, who can't shout, who's vulnerable, who's timid, coward, but has a situation where he has to fight not just villains like goons in his life, but also a lot of problems, situation, family emotions, a common man's life. Himself also. So him beating all of it and becoming the hero, which we also want to be in our life, is the emotional connect in the movie, which really works because most of the sequences, situation, scenes are written around it. Despite of the presentation being a little underwhelming, you will get connected to it.
The kind of relationships he has and how he screws them up because of his own inner desires, the inner cravings, the inner greed, all these things set up the film. It sets up the story on a whole because the film is mostly all about how he navigates through, finds himself, and the resurrection of the good guy within him. So all these relationships and the way he reconstructs them or corrects himself and makes that better is what is the crux of this film. And speaking about the technicalities in the film, I really felt like the music in most portions worked really well and it complemented whatever the makers were trying to achieve on the screen with the script. It felt like at portions where the film was supposed to pick up pace, the music played the anchor role.
Yeah, also other technical departments, despite of the story subject having a lot of scope, I would say they did a decent job in putting out the story onto the big screen. Again, emphasizing on there was a lot of scope, but it was just decent.
Talking about what could be the drawbacks of this film, I felt like the whole story of the film, at best, mediocre because it felt like the line was what popped up first. Everything else, all the scenes, all the arcs were written around it and developed, and it felt a bit forced in many places.
Adding on to what Sanjay said, not just this movie, if you take the lot of recent Malayalam movies that are coming, the plot line is very simple, but the way they construct the screenplay, situations, and the way the character behaves, acts, and the technical department's contribution also of trying to make it look different is why those movies work. They took a lot of ideas and inspirations, but when it comes to execution, camera department, it is doing a decent job, but you can clearly see a scope of a wacky kick-ass edit, but that is not happening. Again, talking about the editing also, there are some portions where you can see the technical prowess, but that's not consistent in the entire movie, because of which plot holes and the possibilities of better execution are visible at a bigger scale.
Another important point that I'd like to bring up here is about the kind of expectation that the trailer cut set. Because according to the trailer cut, the film was supposed to have a really interesting edit pattern, the kind of technicalities used over there.
Correct.
It felt like the film took a very orthodox approach that has been tried and tested over the years, but then all the innovation was left for the trailer.
Yeah, coming to performances, most of the performances are really good, but they didn't shine because of the writing. The balance between if this scene demands an emotional scene or a comedy scene is totally lost in the movie, because some scenes where you feel like this is supposed to land as an emotional scene end up being a comedy scene, and some scenes where it is supposed to be a comedy scene ends up being an emotional scene. So the choices of choosing which scene is supposed to be emotional and which scene is supposed to be comedy is all mixed match, because of which you don't exactly feel what you're supposed to feel in that moment. Malaika's character also, who is Vidyapati, so the first half of the title itself is Vidya, but her role is very small in the movie. Also Garudaram. So there is lot of weight from the writing itself is on Nagabhushan, because of which this emotional, whatever the points that I told about, right? His performance doesn't land. We can see the actor doing his job, but the writing is not complementing or elevating his performance.
We interviewed the main actors Nagabhushan and Malaika. The interview is up on the channel. Do check them out. While speaking with Nagabhushan, one thing that we spoke about is how this film is a action, emotion, comedy film.
Correct.
Right? The action first. Like Chennai Express, where Shah Rukh Khan was, Shah Rukh Khan's Rahul was up against Tangabali, and just the two of them on the screen, the way they looked and how hilarious that was, but how good the action was at the end when they actually went up against each other. This film, although I really loved the final action piece and how that was ideated, all that I liked, but apart from that, it felt a little underwhelming, because once again, even in that fight sequence, especially the climax fight, they've taken a very orthodox route. So that orthodox take I didn't really enjoy. Again, that is just the fight junkie in me. I really enjoyed Dali's introduction fight. The kind of moves he was doing, how swift he was, how smooth he was with all of his kicks.
He is really good.
Be it the side kick, the upper kick, the high kick. Everything was executed beautifully to an extent where I was constantly trying to look at his face to see if this is a double. So kudos to him for perfecting all those moves, and kudos to the team for choreographing such a sequence. I felt like the comedy was not up to the mark. When I went in for the film, I was expecting a lot of comedy throughout the film. Emotions will be there, action will be there, but the main hook was comedy. By the second half, the makers forgot it's a comedy and started this whole new arc of his retribution, leaving aside all the comedy that should be there. Even the main relationship between Vidya and her pati, it was not seen through. And those are the major drawbacks for me, because if that point landed, none of the other complaints would matter.
So overall, the movie has equal proportions of highs and lows, but the last 20 minutes, the emotions and the fight, all of it works, mostly giving you a satisfactory, decent feeling while leaving the theaters. And once again, like we tell it in all our reviews, this is our opinion. You might have a totally different opinion. For that, you need to go watch this movie in theaters, and don't forget to come back and mention your review and opinion in the comment section below.
Yes, listen to us, but also do go and watch this film if you were interested in the film. If you watched the trailer and thought that this could be a good time, please do go and watch the film. Let us know your opinion as well, because that matters too.
With that, this is Maruti Acharya,
And I am Sanjay Ponappa.
and you're watching India Today.